Welcome back, Step Clubbers. We are continuing on our 25 Days at Disney, day 13.
And we're going to be talking about Beauty and the Beast, animation versus live action.
The animation is my all-time favorite Disney film, I'll be honest. It's like my favorite Disney princess film.
It's very good. It honestly really is. First, we're going to start with Belle. So, in the animation, she, of course, has her love for books.
Books, reading, she gets made fun of for that.
And so, in the live action, it is the same thing, except there's a little bit addition added onto it where she is a lot involved with inventions.
Right. In the animation, like she knows what tools to hand her dad, but she doesn't do anything on her own invention-wise. In the live action, she's a lot more involved with it.
And she makes her own washing machine kind of invention in the well. But in the town, doesn't like that she's inventing things and then trying to teach it to other people.
Yeah, it's in that time period in France, like you saw in the live action movie, the girls didn't go to school. School was only for boys. So women were just doing housework. That's it.
So those teachings, what they weren't really very fond of.
Yeah.
Okay. So Maurice in the animation is an inventor, but in the live action, he is an artist and a clockmaker.
Yes, and it was so beautiful in the live action. The paintings that they showed and the inventions you could just see were a little bit more elegant in the live action.
And then a little bit with going on the relationship with Belle and Maurice, that they didn't really get into too much of Belle's and Maurice's family life backstory. But in the live action, what they do is they go into the explanation of what happened in their past, of her mother, and a little bit more of into Belle's childhood.
Right, and they actually mentioned specific towns in, France. They mentioned Paris. That's where Belle was born, and we didn't know that in the original. There's a lot more backstory added to the live action in general than there is to the original. All the questions we had from the animation one were kind of answered in the live action, which I felt nice.
Okay, and then we're going to move on to Beast now. So Beast is, in the animation, is basically a royal jerk. And then he, from him being a royal jerk, he turns the enchantress away. And because of that, due to thinking she's an old hag, doesn't want to help her, then the curse happens. So in the live action, though, they explain a little bit of why he was that royal jerk. That his mother died when he was very young and raised by his father. And the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He learned to be a royal jerk, in a sense, from his father, the way he got treated. And so he brought that into himself and turned into the way his father was. So like you said, they bring backstories in like they didn't in the animation.
Right, and also they made him, I think, a little bit older in the live action. If you remember in the animation one, they talk about how, the rose petal, he has until his 21st birthday. And if 10 years had gone by, that would have made him 11, in the animation when he met the enchantress. Who's going to let the stranger in the door? Again, unanswered questions that got answered and better explained in the live action.
And then in the animation for the Beast, he does not have a solo song, but yet in the live action he does, and that is Evermore.
Now I know she'll never leave me, even as she fades from view. She will still inspire me, be a part of everything I do. I'll think of all that might have been, waiting here forever.
Oh, that is such a good song. I really enjoy it a lot. And and I enjoy that scene in the live action. He had like a part of a duet in the animation. That was the only time we heard him sing, and you didn't even really see him do it. It was that soundtrack in the background.
Now we're moving on to Belle and Beast. Something that is very different with their relationship or the building of it is that in the live action, they actually take this trip from a magic book to a tour of Paris. And so when they go to Paris in the live action, they go to the place where Belle grew up, and the whole backstory happens. It gets kind of dark. You don't see that at all in the animation.
Really don't. In the animation, it's a little bit more like cut forward. You know, that they're reading together, or sorry, she's reading to him. He's not as eloquent in the live or in the animated version. So it's more so she's just spending time with him in the animated one. Another difference with the Beast, you know, being a little bit more eloquent in the live action is that he is actually knowledgeable about his books, knows different languages. He had to learn a lot as a prince. Talk about a little bit more of his responsibilities. Belle starts to fall for the Beast when she realizes he also reads Shakespeare. She talks about how much he loves Romeo and Juliet. Like, that's such a noob, you know, start. You gotta like the real stuff, okay? Everyone knows Romeo and Juliet. So they start to banter back and forth of their books. So, you know, that's where the love kind of builds there. It's kind of nice.
A very big difference between animation and live action is that the way that all of the furniture characters are portrayed. They're very cartoonish in the animation, and they have very definite eyes.
And personifications to them.
In the live action, it's more fancier, more realistic, and their eyes are, some of them, so disguised within the realistic parts of just the features of the utensils or furniture itself.
I still like how they kept the little footstool, the dog. That was just always one of my favorites.
And the last thing we're going to talk about are the songs. We have both shared the songs.
Bonjour, 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 bonjour.
There goes the baker with his tray, like always. The same old bread and rolls to sell.
Bonjour, bonjour,
Bonjour, bonjour.
bonjour.
There goes the baker with his tray, like always. The same old bread and rolls to sell.
Go on, unfold your menu, take a glance and then you'll be our guest. We are guest, be our guest.
Go on, unfold your menu, take a glance, and then you'll be our guest. We our guest, be our guest.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston. There's no man in town if it's manly. No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly.
Perfect, a pure paragon.
Small, to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast.
Small, to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast.
However, though, in the live action, we have some more. We have Evermore, How Does a Moment Last Forever?
This is the Paris of my childhood. These were the waters of my life. In this crumbling, dusty attic, where an artist loved his wife.
And Days in the Sun.
Those days in the sun, what I'd give to relive just one.
Night, Mama.
Undo what's done and bring back the love.
So those are all additional songs that expanded the storyline and added to it compared to the animation.
Right. And also, you know, Emma Watson is singing in front of the camera for these songs for the live action. I just had one critique that she has a lovely voice. It just doesn't have as much of an oomph as Paige O'Hara, the original Belle. Because she, you know, in The Great White Somewhere, you know, I Want More Than This Provincial Life. That's such a touching song for me, and it's so powerful in my opinion. That Emma Watson just didn't bring the same amount of oomph to it. I think that's all we have about the Beauty and the Beast. In the comments, let us know what you like more. Did you like the live action more? Did you like the animated more? And why? We want to know.
So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Bye, Step Clubbers.